Hello investors and traders, today I'll speak about the inflation, the US economy and of course the stock market, the US stock market. Let's start with the S&P 500, the main flagman US index. We can see that its current level is 4120. So after today release of the inflation, the figure was 6.4. We see that the inflation in US is still elevated. It's still more than 6%. The inflation, the core CPI. So the inflation is still unfortunately very high. And that's why of the reasons that the market, I think it's very hard for the stock market, the equity market to grow when they see such high inflation, because the Fed Reserve may continue its interest hiking. So of course in the area of environment of elevated and increasing interest rate, it's hard for the stock market to grow. We see that the next Federal Reserve meeting will be in 35 days from today. The current target rate is about 4.75%, and here we see that the probability about 90% that the next meeting we will see another increasement. It will be on the 22 of March, and the next one, the 3 of May, it's also we may see another hike. The probability more than 70% that the range will be about 5% or 5.25, and then the next one will be in 14 June. It's also more than about 50% that it will be another hiking, and the range 5.25 to 5.5. So we still set the expectations for the next three meetings of Federal Reserve, that still that the markets, the investors expecting the interest rate to be elevated. By the way, in the middle of the year there is still a probability of 15% that we may see maybe 5.75%. So I guess it's a lot, it's still a lot, very high interest rates. Let's have a look on the US mortgage, 30-year mortgage rate. We see that last week it jumped to 6.4%. It was here, we saw a trend to decreasement since the beginning of the year. Yeah, it was 6.6, 6.4. The last data was 6.2. So we had a chance that maybe it will fall below 6%, but no, last week it was 6.4. So it's still at the level of November 22. So we see that the increased decline in mortgage rates tracks a rise in treasury yields amid expectations that the Fed would need to keep monetary policy restrictive for a longer period. The rate is now the highest level since the first week of the year and compares with 4% 1 year ago. So yeah, it's the last week. If we look in let's move to the 5-year period. Yeah, we see it was 3%, here at 4%, but now it's really continued to grow. Now it's more than 6%. So I guess it's a lot. Yeah, by the way, now it's at the level of 2008, 2009. So the mortgage rate in my mind is very high for the last I guess 12 years. It's very so unusual. So of course it's another issue for the stock market. Let's have a look on this chart from Bloomberg. We see that the bond markets change assumptions. So now the Fed fund will top 5% all year. We see that yeah, really the expectations that we finally we may see 5%, and the yield curve is more deeply inverted yet. So the difference between 2-year to 10-year the treasury US bond is become deeper and deeper. So it's also another signal that we may see, or all we already seen, a recession this year. And here I have another interesting chart for you. So the global inflation rates, we see that in most of the countries, of course, there is inflation. For example, China 2%, but US, the last data is 6.4%. A lot of European countries like Spain, like Portugal, 8%, Germany, 8%. We can see that in Italy it's still more than 10%, so it's a lot. Of course, there is such countries like Turkey and Argentina that it's about 60-80%. Of course, it's a lot, but still we see the trend that maybe it's the trend, comparing to the prior data is become lower, like Canada, US, but still 6.3 in Canada, 6.4 in the US. And in my mind, it's a lot. So the inflation now in February 2023 in most of the countries in the world continue to be very elevated. And let's have a look on the indexes once again. So the Nasdaq is now about 1200. So here in such a highly inflationary environment, I think it's hard for the IT companies to grow. I think it's will be very problematic. The B2C, the Bitcoin, my target is 30%. 30,000 now is 22, maybe 23. So I see another potential to grow about 30% for this asset. The Brent, the oil price. So here I'm expecting another spike. If we'll check the waves in the first wave, the second, the third, the fourth and the fifth, and so fifth is usually higher than the three. So maybe you will see another spike, another bounce in the desert, highly than $100. I don't know what will be the reason, but from the technical point of view, we have a nice potential to see oil price, of course, much higher. The VIX, the index volatility, is now decreasing. It's below 20, so generally speaking, the expectations of the market, it's not I can tell something specific, but now it's very calm, because for example, when it was the corona crisis, the COVID, it jumped to 80. Now it's this parameter very low, and we see that the S&P and the Nasdaq are traded plus minus 1%. So all the market participants, the traders, investors, the hedge funds expecting something new, some new data, some new information, and now the volatility is really very low. The TLT, the US Treasury bond, I think we may see it a little bit higher towards the end of this year. My target is 120. Now it's about 104. So still I think it's very nice potential for this asset to grow. The XY, the US dollar, so now it's continue to decrease since its highest levels. We see that it's down about 10%, 10% since its high levels, and I see the dollar is decreasing towards the end of this year. My final target is maybe 94, 93. I see it's till the end of this year. And of course, the US Treasury bond, as I said previously, it's continued to be inverted. The 2-year Treasury yield is 4.6 and the 10-year is 3.7. So actually the near-term risk we see higher than the long run. So that's of course the first and the main signal of recession. It's very negative for the stock market, for the equity market, and by the way, the difference is becoming deeper and deeper. So it's another huge issue for the stocks, for the US stocks. And let's have a look on the Palantir US company, IT company. So here I think it was of course a quarterly report. I think here it was a correction. Maybe here the correction is finished. Here we saw a general support level 7.5%. If we look on the fundamental, by the way, its performance more than 40% since the beginning of the year. Very nice performance hold this stock. And on the quarterly basis, we see that the marginality improving. By the way, the last quarter, the company showed a profit, because all the previous years it was losses. Of course, it was a quarterly basis, because but still all the year or the last 5 years it still was unprofitable company. But now we see that the revenue is growing, and of course the marginality also last 3 quarters improving. So maybe it will be a nice nice investment opportunity. Of course, this company doesn't pay any dividends. And let's have a look on the expectation EPS. So the expectation that it will grow, the last data it was 4%, then in few quarters it's expected to be 6%, and the revenue of course expected to be grow. Last data it was about 50. It was 5 million bucks, and in 4 quarters from now it's going to be more than 600 bucks. 600 bucks, of course, nice investment. I think I'm personally very interested in this company. It's IT company, technology service, and of course it's this company, after a tough correction, the correction from its highest levels now is more than 80%. So I guess it may be very interesting, but still I think it's a dangerous investment, because of course the company is still not so huge, only 20 billion bucks. The correction and the US indexes, the Nasdaq, the inflation, a lot of issues, of course, for the US economy. So here you should be very dangerous. And another problem, which I personally don't like, because I prefer dividend stocks, and this company unfortunately doesn't pay dividends. So Palantir considered for me like a venture investor investment. So generally speaking, it's the current the situation in the US market, US economy. So if you like my channel, if you like this video, so of course press the like button, hit the bell to receive all the last updates in my channel, and see you on the next time. Bye.